So this is the post 600 hours GMT edition of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions Khoodeelaar television channel. We didn't broadcast any bulletin of this program on 11th of April, 12th of April, or 13th of April. So this is the first time since the 10th of April that we are broadcasting. And this is the introduction to an essay that we shall be publishing based on the latest crime involving the murder of the 17-year-old named as Shia Gordon. Now, Shia Gordon was a 17-year-old boy who was visiting as an invited guest, visiting the 18th birthday event of a girl who had invited him to the party that was happening in Lichfield Road in the Bow area in Tower Hamlets in London E3. It happened on the 4th of September 2022. Now, the event has been compared by a writer on the Daily Mail with the work of Anthony Burgess, A Clockwork Orange, as made into a movie by Stanley Kubrick in 1971. Now, the reason why we shall be doing an essay on this murder is, of course, there are several reasons. One is the fact that when the boy called Ajmal Ahmad, I think, was stabbed by fellow pupils at the Langdon Park School in Poplar in 2013, I think, I went to speak to the counselor in place at the time, who was described as the community safety affairs counselor, called Councillor Ohid Ahmad in Tower Hamlets Council. I have mentioned this before, many times before, and the response of Ohid Ahmad was totally inappropriate. He didn't want to talk about it, and he was anxious to have the meeting finish as soon as possible. Now, I have checked the Tower Hamlets Council website to see if they have got any recognition of this teenage boy that has been murdered in Tower Hamlets, Shia Gordon. And there is no mention of Shia Gordon. What the search result produced is this. It says, your search for Shia Gordon returned 0 results. Remember the searches that I've been carrying out about Tower Hamlets Council, recognizing even the existence of the girl Shamima Begum. This is the same result. And my interest in Tower Hamlets Council's status of recognition of Shamima Begum is not about what she is doing or she has been doing, but because Shamima Begum was one of the 4 girls from Bethnal Green that should have been cared for and protected under the Tower Hamlets Council's legal obligation to safeguard children. Had Tower Hamlets Council done its duties and safeguarded these 4 girls, Sharmina Begum, and 3 months later, Shamima Begum, Amira Abbasi, and Khadija Sultana, all 4 girls left the UK and ended up in Syria with the so-called Islamic State. There is no evidence. There is absolutely no evidence that I have found anywhere that I can access showing the Tower Hamlets Council, either collectively as a council or as represented by any member of the council over the last 8 calendar years, has made any public or identifiable comment about the neglect of Tower Hamlets Council's duties as owed to the children. There could be no more urgent cases of children deserving protection and the council's duties to protect them, which raises questions about the school's curriculum, questions about the role of the council in recognizing the existence of the parents and in the absence of parents, guardians, relations, and of course the wider demographic sections called the community. And I have checked for any mention in the last, months, because Shia Gordon was murdered in September 2022. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months. And there is no mention of Shia Gordon or any of the circumstances that prevailed, allowing for the murderers to murder him. And all the circumstances that are relevant, have been relevant, were relevant, were to do with the state of fitness, state of caring, state of concern that prevailed or should have prevailed in the collective London Borough of Tower Hamlets Council. But there is no evidence that they have any recognition for any of that or any recognition of any of that. Now, I'm not making it up. I have seen no evidence from any of the so-called ethnicity-linked, this is my phrase, ethnicity-linked outlets that claim to report on events affecting the so-called ethnic or ethnicity identifiable or ethnically identifiable parts of the demography. That shows that Tower Hamlets Council, in any shape or form, is fit for purpose. Now, there is a report which is unaltered to the effect that Transport for London has taken a kind of punitive step against Tower Hamlets Council and withheld a sum of money that Transport for London would have given to the council. And that has been reported as being in protest marked by Transport for London at Tower Hamlets Council's failure to do the necessary environmentally and safety-wise safe things safeguarding the people's movement on the streets of Tower Hamlets, connecting the issue of usage of cars in Tower Hamlets. Now that is on the record and on the news outlets. Amazingly enough, there is no news item anywhere, apart from, of course, in the contents of the Khoodeelaar campaign bulletins, publications, and television channel broadcasts, of the Tower Hamlets Council severe wrong in not recognizing its legal duties as owed to these children, these 4 girls. Now, the 4 girls were not much differently aged than Shia Gordon, who was murdered at age 17. And the fact that this boy has been murdered in Tower Hamlets and his murder has not been commented on, let alone being followed by earnest expressions of practical help to be made available by Tower Hamlets Council in the future, immediate future, to prevent such murders or crimes is very serious evidence of the unfitness of Tower Hamlets Council. Now, in a review published in 1972 of the Stanley Kubrick movie, A Clockwork Orange, that has been republished in 2003 by the Cambridge University, I think. This is or let's check the actual source of the publication. Let's check on this. This is A Clockwork Orange is a 1971 dystopian crime film, adapted, produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick, based on Anthony Burgess's 1962 novel of the same name. The film A Clockwork Orange employs disturbing, violent images to comment on psychiatry, juvenile delinquency, and the next one is youth gangs, and other social, political, and economic subjects in a dystopian near future Britain. Although the film was made by Stanley Kubrick, an American, the film is about that book, which is based on Britain. Now, 1962 was 3 years before the London Borough of Tower Hamlets Council came into existence, where Shea Gordon has been murdered in Bow. Bow is part of the previous borough of Poplar, which is now part of Tower Hamlets. And so any functioning, caring, competent council would have been expected to have familiarized itself with the very serious issues that the council has to address. But there is no evidence that Tower Hamlets Council has taken any notice of any of the conclusions and observations and reviews that have been made of the Clockwork Orange. And the Clockwork Orange is also the kind of moral, if you like, or lesson that has been mentioned by the Daily Mail writer. Now, of course, the Daily Mail, I'll come to that in a minute about the Daily Mail itself. But the Daily Mail's writer on the murder of this boy, Shea Gordon, refers to the dystopian, well, in effect, I'm paraphrasing him. I'll read the actual quote, but I'm paraphrasing at this stage. The dystopian future Britain nightmare that was predicted in the film and the book. Because Tower Hamlets generally, and the Bow area in particular, has been the scene or has been the neighborhood, if you like, or the area where several murders have taken place in the last few years. All the murders of all the young victims I would say should have been anticipated, and therefore preventative actions should have been taken. What do I mean by preventative action? I mean education. I don't mean education by following the school's curriculum, etc. I mean education in a wider, rigorous, and dedicated sense, with real dedication to protecting your community. The Khoodeelaar campaign and myself have been systematically obstructed by the criminals who have been in charge of Tower Hamlets Council for as long as it goes back. I have been physically present in Tower Hamlets for more than 50 years. And in the 50 years plus, the individuals who have become elected councillors, as well as the employees in the council, with only one exception, I come to one or two exceptions, I shall name them in a minute. have been persistently corrupt, dishonest, and in the case of the midget, John Biggs, brazenly racist and stupid. Of the thousands of encounters and contacts that I've had to make with these people over the last 50 plus years, only two women, of all the thousands of people that have been employed, only two women have been accessible and almost honest, given that their jobs require them to be discreet. And so one woman is first, I'll give the first name. One woman is called Kerry, and the other woman is called Carol. Why should it be so difficult to find any more? And the fact that it has been difficult, impossible to find any more, actually describes the dysfunction, the unfitness of this council. Why should that boy, who has been, in terms of academic performance, who has been a very promising young person, and his ambition, according to reports, was to become a property administrator, entrepreneur, when he would leave his formal education, which he has been denied that chance to do. He has got siblings, and it appears from reports that I've seen so far that the siblings are more or less equally aligned towards around the kind of quote law abiding future. Why should a boy like that be condemned because he was only trying to respond to his friend and join her in celebrating her 18th birthday? Why should he be murdered? Why should he have been even attacked? Who gave the license to anyone who orchestrated this murder, this attack, this violation? Who gave the license that they could do that? They should do that. One of the things that a local council has all the powers it needs to do is to make sure that any gatherings anywhere in the borough, any gatherings in the borough, especially involving young people, should be done by showing respect to other people and to make sure by making sure that no one is harmed, no one is caused any damage. It's not bringing back the state, applying the drugs and whatever that the film shows Andy McDowell being treated to. It is general morality that should have been there regardless of Anthony Burgess and his dystopian kind of prediction. When the election commissioner Richard Morey was taking evidence following the petition by 4 electors in Tower Hamlets against Lutfur Rahman concerning the 2014 election to the post of mayor. As I have mentioned, Morey was surprised to come across a man who had for many years been the imam at a mosque, the Ford Square Mosque in Whitechapel, being exposed as a liar. Now, the ruling that Richard Morey has published on the 23rd of April 2015 does go into some detail about spiritual influence. And I think the reason why Richard Morey decided to devote as much as he did of the ruling to the concept of spiritual influence is because he witnessed the corrupt personification of spiritual evil in the shape of the behavior of the former Imam of the Ford Square Mosque, named as Shamsul Haque. There is a similarity to the sound of the last name to my last name, but the spelling makes it different. Hoque is how his name is spelt. I know this Shamsul Haque. And I know for a fact that he is part of the gang of criminals who are still, or he has been, who are still supporting, endorsing, and promoting within the local demography the pathetic career as elected mayor of this very dishonest individual, Lutfur Rahman. I know this Shamsul Haque not just from London, but I know by tracing him because he comes from an area in Silot in Bangladesh, where I come from, which is not very far from where I come from. And before they passed away, my parents treated him as a welcome guest in their house. And he reciprocated by showing them apparent respect and so on. I think in terms of the age, despite the fact that he has got overly white beard, I think Shamsul Haque is younger than me. And the fact that he was examined as a liar is not an isolated incident. I mentioned education earlier about how to safeguard children like Shia Gordon. All the children, not just Shia Gordon, but when I say like, I mean the way that his life was cut short. Education. When the Criminals Inter-Arms Council colluded with other criminals like the Timeless Community Housing, in allowing serious thefts of intellectual properties belonging to me and my campaigns and organizations that I coordinate, found, and run and advocate through. All of these work that I have been doing over the last 50 plus years, research and creating the original work for widest possible education, have been affected. And Shamsul Haque lied to me in 2012. I went to his house in a place called the Barna Estate, which is near the Cannon Street Road, off the commercial road, London E1. And I explained to him what had been done by Timeless Council criminals, colluding with the Timeless Community Housing and the crooks involved in the Spitalfield Small Business Association. Shamsul Haque expressed solidarity with me, and he suggested that I should contact the Tower Hamlets Council of Mosques, where he was chair, and he would raise this issue at the next scheduled meeting in October 2012. In good faith, I contacted those people by sending them emails, and I heard nothing from them. So I thought maybe the emails had not reached them, only to discover later that Shamsul Haque actually did mention this at the meeting, as he promised he would, but he was told to dismiss everything I had said and to disregard my concerns. So the person who actually said that is also known to me, and I have absolutely no doubt that he was doing that as a part of his jealousy and hatred of me because of the work that I do, which actually challenges the corruption and criminality that he is a part of through the base that he abuses at the East London Mosque and also in the so-called Council of Mosques, Tower Council of Mosques. So what I'm saying here, you will not find anywhere else, because nobody else is in Tower Hamlets bothered about these lives being destroyed, bothered about the council neglecting these children, bothered about Tower Hamlets Council behaving as a criminal organization, the biggest criminal organization fronted by the proven fraudster and liar and crook Lutfur Rahman. In the Sun newspaper, which I have got, of Thursday on page 3, there is this item, they call it the exclusive item. The Sun calls it the exclusive item. Remember, the camera thing is very, very difficult to put before this. So that is this page 3 item, and it's about, they say that David Attenborough collects 3,342 pounds every minute. This, they say, is their exclusive report. Now, I don't believe that David Attenborough is engaged in terms of the sheer chalai on the necessary resources and source materials that I have been doing the work to defend the community, widest sense of the term community, for more than 50 years in the context of Tower Hamlets. So if he is earning 3,342 pounds a minute, I think the work that I have been doing in terms of the impact, the beneficial impact on the whole community, that should be at least raised to the double sum, and it would be 6,684 pounds per minute. Multiply that to the number of minutes that every day, every 24 hours that I've been spending in doing the investigation, doing the analysis, and doing the correlations. And you can see billions of pounds worth of resources that I have invested, literally billions. So I cannot say that I know these people who are mourning their loss in Shia Gordon being murdered, but I can make a pledge that among the issues that this campaign will be highlighting in the near future would be everything about Shia Gordon that we can find. We shall be looking for everything about this boy, and we shall be contributing as much as we can in terms of solidarity, in terms of support to his mom, and if he has got siblings, them and everyone else that is missing him. All these children that have been betrayed by Tahamner's Council will be honored by our campaign, and all the people that have been let down will be honored by our campaign. When we began publishing various fact-based concerns about the behavior of the racists controlling the Ian Micardo Special School in 2016, we had actually planned to take the campaign to a point whereby the whole school, the racists, would be ousted from the school. But we couldn't be doing that because the evidence that was necessary wasn't forthcoming. which was something that we had not anticipated. But we shall make up for that lack of evidence, although a few years after the time that we had planned to focus on the goings on in the Ian MacArthur School. So this has been the introduction to this particular issue, and we shall be expanding on this in due course in later editions. So we are ending this particular part A at 06:32 hours GMT on Friday, the 14th of April 2023, and we shall continue, hopefully, the next parts during the remainder of the day today, Friday, the 14th of April 2023.